Today I'm gonna be making the con rod. Now I suppose the easiest way is to make the top section, make the shaft, make the bottom section, and then silver solder it all together. But as I'm a glutton for punishment, and I found this in the scrap bin, I'm going to make it all in one. So anyway, first thing I need to do is get this down to dimension. So I'm going to go over to the bandsaw initially, because I've got a little bit just to take off this side, and then I'll square it up in the mill. Right, I'll pick this face. None of the faces are particularly good, but I'll pick that face as a starting point anyway. I think this back corner is probably about the highest point, so we'll skim off of that and make a start there. I know this is a longer than normal video, but it's worth sticking with. There's a lot of different techniques in this video, especially sort of part way through. You've got use of the rotary table, there's some end milling, there's some lathe work, there's quite a bit going on. It's quite an interesting video, so stick with it all the way through. Right, I've now got a good surface to work from, so I'm going to square this up from that surface now. I'm not going to record it. I'll get this squared up and then I'll come back. Right, what I've done is marked it out roughly with a marker pen. So I'm going to cut this piece out on the bandsaw. I'm going to cut that piece out on the bandsaw, which is this and this, and then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut this piece out on the bandsaw, this piece out on the bandsaw, these couple of little bits out on the bandsaw to leave that shape, the centre and the bottom, the bearing carrier at the bottom there, and then I can go back over to the mill and the lathe and start getting them down to dimensions. So at the moment it's over to the bandsaw. You'll see what I mean. Once I get the rough shape cut out, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So basically this side is that section, this side is that section, but I've marked that as cut out because it's got to be cut out down to leave the 10mm in. Right, let's get over to the bandsaw. Right, we've now got a workable blank. That's this way on, and of course that one is that way on. So now we've got to turn this middle down, which is a slight taper. It's a 1mm taper. We've got some rotary table work on that end, but the easy part to start with will be this end. So what I'm going to do is get this down 2 dimension now, squared up, so we've got something square, some reference to work off. We have got these 2 surfaces, which are still good reference surfaces, which I'm going to use to clean this up. And eventually then I'll split it off, I'll clean the split, and then it will bolt back, the split will bolt back on later, and we'll cut the hole for the bearing. So let's get over and get this done first on the mill. What I have got is the original centre scribe line that I set up on this piece before I cut it. I've still got that as a centre datum reference. So what I'm going to do is tap it into the vise to that line, both sides, and then I'm going to mill this face off. Right, what I'm doing, I'm setting the cutter height to the top jaw. That's an 032 shim. So now, if I move the cutter over, come down 032 with the cutter, that'll put me exactly on the centre line. Now for this piece to end up at 10mm, I want to leave 5mm in on this side, then I can flip it over, put it on a parallel, and take 5mm down to 5mm on the other side, and it'll give me 10mm. Right, that's down to 5mm from the centre line now. Right, I've set the cutter height at the top of the parallel, which means if I come up 10mm and finish this at 10mm, then I'll have the exact dimensions. Right, we're now down to the 10mm thickness. I'm just going to face this off so we've got a reference surface to work to on this end, and then we can measure it out. Right, I've got it set up. I've got to come down 9mm with the cutter and back to 0 on the DRO, which means this edge of the cutter will be 25mm from this end. So 25 from there to there. When the edge of the cutter gets to 0, which I've already done on the DRO, I'll be at the exact correct position. Coming down 9mm will leave me 10mm in the centre here, and I only want 9, so that'll just give me a little bit extra for when I turn it in the lathe. Right, because because I've got the stop here, now I can just flip that round and do exactly the same measurements on the other shoulder. What I've done is got the exact centre. Using the centre finder, I've found the exact centre of there. I'm now going to put a little dimple in here, so when I take it over to the lathe, I know this end will be exactly central in the tailstock then. I'll make that a bit deeper, I think. Right, we're exactly centre of the workpiece now, of the conrod. Right, it doesn't matter about that hole in the top, because as you can see the centre of this is all removed for the fork, so I can use that for alignment when I turn this piece in the lathe. Right, I've got it set up in the forejaw. I've got the centre position on the tailstock. I'm just going to turn a little bit down in the centre to get it started. Right, that's just under 9.5. So now I'm going to change the tool and face it down to the shoulder. Set my dial to 0. Not that that'll make any difference because I'm changing the tool, so ignore that. Right, we're making progress. We're down to 9mm there, just got to clean up this end now. That's what we've got so far. Not looking too bad. Most of this end will be done on the rotary table. This end, apart from, you know, still got to have the split, it's still got to be cut down to the final dimension. Once I've done the split, I'll mill the faces, screw it together, and then bore it out. But yeah, coming on. That is that view, and that is that view. So we're getting there. It's going to have to go in the rotary table to do that, so my next job is to do the split, bore the hole out, or ream the hole out I should say, to take the brass bush. It should be a bronze bush, but as I've pointed out before, my models, although they work, they're for display purpose only, and I haven't got a piece of bronze, so I'm going to turn a bit of brass down for the bush. If I get excited one day and start running them seriously, then I can always make a bronze bush for it. According to the drawing, the split line is 64mm from the centre of the top part of the fork, from the centre of the fork, where it joins the piston rod. So what I'm going to do is, we've got a 12mm radius there, so if I add 12mm diameter, so if I add 6mm to the 64, which will give me 70, then I should be 70mm from the top, measuring down. So, where are my calipers? So if I set the calipers at 70mm, there we go, mark that off, which is there. I can then set them to this measurement here, which is 1469, which is correct, 1469, and then I can just scribe that line along there. Do the same on the other side. Right, because I've left this long, I'm going to cut this side of the mark, obviously, and then I'm going to mill this down to that line, which will be the exact centre of our split, and then I will cut this off, or mill this piece down to 10mm to the mating surface. So initially it's over to the bandsaw just to cut this off, put it in the mill it down, and then sort this piece out. Right, I'm all set up now to mill that off. Right, that's the second one set up. Mill that down to the line, which will leave me 10mm in, which will then give me what I need on the big end bearing. Right, there's the split. Got a couple of little witness marks on this end, there and there, there and there, there and there. So that's the split in exactly the right place. Now I need to put the bolts in these and bolt that all together, and then I can drill out for the bearing. Right, for the big end bearings, we got a 4mm clearance hole through the underside into an M4 tap at the top, and it also has a locking nut on the top, but I've also got these two little holes to drill, which are oiler holes. So let's get on with that. Right, I've got the centre using the edge finder. I've got to go out 10mm from centre, 10mm from centre, drill a 3.4 hole for an M4 tap. Right, let's get the couple of tap holes in. that's the two M4 holes tapped in there. Right, just got a couple of holes to put in here, a couple of clearance holes. There we go. We're all split now. So now I need to get it lined up to get the ball put in for the big end. Alright, all set up now. Double check that. Yep. We're good to go. Let's get that drilled in. Right, there we go. It's a 13mm hole. So what I've got to do now is just get these, there's two little angled holes. Where are we? Here. Here, that one and that one go in at 30 degrees. So I'm going to set that up and just pop them in. They come right on the they're right on the edge of this, so that's where I've got to drill to the edge of the shaft. So what I'm going to have to do, I think, is go in with a milling cutter first. I'm going to find this edge, this little corner here. I've got to find that first, and then go in with a cutter and then drill in 30 degrees. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to wait until I've got the bearing in, and then I'm going to drill through all the way through into the bearing as well, so everything lines up. Anyway, I forgot to film the drilling part, but I've drilled the hole in there now, and I've got some scrap wedged underneath to stop that from moving because there's nothing supporting this end. So I've got the hole through now, so now I can get it set up on the rotary table to do all of the other bits and pieces on it. Right, I've decided I'm going to do this before I go over to the rotary table. That'll be less to mill away on the rounds then. So I'm going to cut this slot in here first. I'm going to do it with an 8mm. I'll put a 2-flute cutter in there because I'm actually going to nibble it away, I think. Maybe I won't. No, I won't nibble it away. Ignore that. I'm going to cut it. Right, what I've decided to do here is to mill it down to dimension as well prior to the rounds going on, obviously. So I've decided to mill this side down. It's got to be 12mm overall, but all I've got to do then on the rotary table is just to cut the corners off, which will make life easier. Right, that's everything down to the rough dimensions. I've just got to do the rounds on the rotary table to get it to shape, and then we'll be done. It's coming on. Right, I've now got to recenter it. I'm going to put the other pin back in. I'm going to flip it over so I can just do this little flange here. It's this little flange there that I'm doing. It's a 0.5 millimeters is what I'm putting on that. So I've just got to flip it over. I've obviously done the round. I've just got to flip it over and just put the flange on the other side. Here's the finished con rod. Just got to do the bearing for this end and tap a M4 thread in there and put a clearance hole in the other side for the gudgeon pin. That's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. I would also appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button, because that will enable me to grow the channel so that I can keep making these videos. Please leave a comment or a question. I do read all of the comments and reply to as many as I can. Thanks for watching.